Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Thank you for tuning in. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who appeared in the divine person of Master Fard Muhammad. I bear witness that he raised for us a divine leader, teacher, and guide, his last messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I could never thank these two enough for teaching one and leaving one behind for me and my generation to let us know that our Savior has arrived. And that divine reminder is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in these three great names, I greet you in the greeting words of peace. Salam alaikum. Family, thank you all for tuning in. Peace and blessings. Listen, I'm excited. I'm energized. So please forgive me if in my excitement I talk too fast and things like that. But we have some great news upon us, family. Listen, we have some life-saving, life-giving news upon us. And as your brother, I am ecstatic. I am overwhelmed to come before you to say, hey, we have How to Eat to Live book 1, and we have How to Eat to Live book number 2. And these are science books. They aren't diet books. They aren't religious books, spiritual books. These are science books that will allow you and I to put ourselves on the trajectory to being healed, to being healthy, so that we can be strong and enjoy abundant life. Woo, right? So listen, on page 25 of How to Eat to Live, book number 2, page 25, and this is experience of venturing from right food. Right. And I want to use this to set the tone for what I want to talk about from this scientific perspective. Right. And it says the very words, how to eat to live, is one of the great values in words for us. In these words, we see and we are learning that what we put in us as food, at what time we eat that food, and what type of food we eat is the key to our life and death. Wow. Listen, we can use these words, how to eat to live, to spell how we destroy ourselves. Man, so listen, when we go to science, right, from a science perspective, the number 2 actual cause of death. This is a category, right? This is a category on the actual causes of death. The number 2 actual cause of death is poor diet and lack of exercise. So this means that the actual cause of death, this list are the things that we do. Number 1 is smoking cigarettes. So the only thing that we can do deadlier than a poor diet is to smoke cigarettes. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells us on this page 25, he says the very words, how to eat to live, is one of the great values in words for us. In these words, we see and we are learning, which we are now learning, that what we put in us as food, at what time we eat that food, and what type of food we eat is the key to our life and death. Whoa! Look how powerful this statement is. Look how enlightening it is. And look where it puts your life and your death at, in your hands. Right? So he says that, look, we can use these words, how to eat to live, to spell how we destroy ourselves. Okay, so when we are looking at eating, there's 2 main ways we are going to eat, right? There's 2 main ways you're going to eat. Let me get a darker marker. Culinary and nutritional. These are the 2 main ways you're going to eat. culinary, and nutritional. When we come out of the womb, we are in this category. We don't usually get into this category unless we are sick or trying to overcome some type of imbalance. Then we learn nutritional eating. But this is taste. This is savory, sweet, right? Salty, right? Bitter. This is only dealing with your taste, right? So when we're looking at culinary cooking, this is when the messenger tells us these words, how to eat to live. They will describe how we destroy ourselves. So if there's two main ways that we eating, one is not destructive and one is. So over here from the nutritional perspective, you're going to look at macronutrients. You're going to look at micronutrients, right? You're going to understand when I eat, what I eat, how I eat, right? You're going to do all of these things in the nutritional form of eating versus this is where soul food is at. When we look at that category and that plate of soul food, you got the meat substance, you got the greens, you got the yams, you got the sweet potatoes, you have the dressing, you have the mac and cheese, you have all of these things that have very little nutritional value, but they taste good because they're hitting your savory, sweet, salty, bitter, they're hitting your taste, right? So, and we can easily get confused that just because something tastes good, that it's good for you. Because most of the things that they are eating, it's the seasoning that makes that food taste good. It's not the actual meat or that vegetable or whatever. It's how they prepare it. It's how they cook it, right? So when we're looking, page 59, How to Eat to Live, book number 2. And this is one meal a day. He says, the way we eat is one of the greatest problems that we have. It is the base of our illness. The way we eat, listen, the way we eat is one of our greatest problems that we have. It is the base of our illness. So how do you eat? Do you eat culinary or do you eat from a nutritional perspective? So if you're eating from a nutritional perspective, then we understand that macronutrients are the energy. You get energy from your macronutrients, which is carbs, fat, protein. This is in order that the body prefers. Your body prefers carbs for energy, glucose, right? When you don't have glucose, your body then will go to fat for energy. If you don't have enough fat, then it will go to protein. Protein has energy because we measure macronutrients in calories. So anything that has calories it has energy. We measure the energy in food with calories, right? It's kilocalories. Right? That's how we measure. The only foods that have energy are our macronutrients. We only had 3: carbs, fat, protein. When you look at the cells and you go into the cells of the body, right? In the mitochondria of the cell, in the mitochondria of the cell is where energy is processed. It takes oxygen and it takes glucose and makes ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That's human energy. That's life energy. So when we are eating, as he tells us, page 59, book 2, the way we eat is one of our greatest problems that we have. It is the base of our illness. Many of us will pop a vitamin and a mineral and say we got energy from it. Vitamins and minerals are our micronutrients, meaning you only need a microscopic amount of them daily to keep you alive. Your body needs energy for your heart to beat. It needs energy for your brain to produce those thoughts. So we have macronutrients, meaning big. This is the building blocks. This is where the cushion and the storage is at. This is your energy. This is taste. How are you eating? Are you eating from a culinary perspective with what do I feel like eating? What do I want to eat? Or are you eating from a nutritional perspective? What does my body need? Right? So when we are looking at this and we are looking at our micronutrients, right? Micro is short for microscopic. This is our vitamins, minerals, no energy. They have no calories. No, this is from a nutritional science perspective. You could do a basic, simple Google search, and it will tell you this here. So if you're eating, if how you eat isn't in accordance with how you are created, if it's not in accordance to nutritional science, then you may not be eating to live. So he teaches us, page 41 of How to Eat to Live, book number 1. All praises due to Allah of the science that we have been blessed with. The only thing we got to do is go in here, unlock it, and apply it. And man, we become life. We become life because we were found in a dead state. We were found here in a dead state. This is how we were eating coming out of the womb. The only time we came over here is if we were sick or trying to overcome something, right? So he teaches us, page 41, How to Eat to Live, book number 1. He says, eating the wrong food and eating it too often starts trouble in the physical body everywhere, from the sole of the feet to the crown of your head. As I said, you do not have to eat everything that people say is good to eat. It is a fool who does that. You do not need everything that is good to eat to live a happy life. Take some of those things that are good to eat. Of course, you should have a balanced diet. I certainly agree with you there. So if we are going to have a balanced diet, we have to understand macro and micro. We have to understand where energy really comes from and where it doesn't. We have to understand the value in what these things actually do to the body and what they don't. And then this is how we build a meal plan to secure our own health and our own wellness, to make sure we are eating to live, if that makes sense, right? Because he says eating the wrong food and eating it too often starts trouble in the physical body everywhere, from the sole of your feet, gout, right? Gout is a food related problem, right? To the crown of your head, migraine headaches, man, embolisms, man, things like that, right? So, as I have said, you do not have to eat everything that people say is good to eat. You can go anywhere. You can watch, what's that, the Food Network, Chopped. You ever see that show, the culinary cooking show, Chopped, where they open up the basket and they have mystery ingredients, where they have to take those mystery ingredients that don't go together, that always isn't the best nutritional value, and they make it taste good and they are judged, and the one that makes the best meal is given a $10,000 prize. This is culinary cooking, and those judges will be surprised and be like, man, that tastes good. Wow, I would have never thought that tastes good. See, when we are eating like that, that is the opposite of how to eat to live. It's almost guaranteed that you will be creating an imbalance from the sole of your feet to the crown of our head. Wow. All praise is due to Allah, man, on this science, because it says from God in person, the best knower of our anatomy and of our physiology. So when he gives us this science, it has an immediate, effective impact on the applicant, right? So look, page 51, How to Eat to Live, book number 1, page 51. And he says, remember, we kill ourselves by what we eat and how we eat it. Just as food is our source of life, it is also our source of death, as God has taught me. Food keeps us here, and food takes us away. For long life, take long intervals between your meals and do not eat over one meal a day. Man, listen to that science. So if we understand that food keeps us here and food takes us away, this is the category that takes us away. This is the category that keeps us here. This is science. This is emotions, because this is dealing with your limbic system, your taste buds. It's playing with, what do I feel like eating? What do I want to eat? That's emotional based versus what do I need to eat? That's scientific. That's actual fact. That's how you build a healthy, strong, powerful body, right? So he tells us, he says, for long life, take long intervals between your meals and do not eat over one meal a day. When you put carbs, the two fastest elements that are digested in the body is carbs and water. Listen, the two fastest elements that are digested in the body is water and carbs. Everything else is a long process. This is your energy. This is why you get that sugar rush. When you eat that energy and your body is using that energy, see, this is your energy source. Everything else is a longer process. So when you eat, you want to give your body, see, when you look at your body really quick, right? The stomach, when this food comes down the esophagus and it goes into the stomach, it doesn't immediately empty out, right? You have two sphincters. You have a sphincter, the here, and you have a sphincter here in your esophagus, and that's going into your small intestines. It only lets out a small amount of material at a time, because the material, this is filled with gastric juices. Very, very acidic. Very, very acidic. So this part of the intestines is called the duodenum. The duodenum. This is that part right here. So when that's sitting there like that, right? What happens is your stomach secretes a little bit of material at a time into the duodenum, and the pancreas secretes its juices into the duodenum. The gallbladder, this is the common bile duct, that green piece right there. And it's connected to the duodenum, and they secrete their juices in there to neutralize the gastric juices. So when that food goes through the duodenum and comes into the small part of the intestines, it has a neutral pH, and it's ready to be absorbed, to be distributed through the body. This takes time. It takes hours for it to get here, and it takes hours for it to be digested out of the body. So when we are looking at this concept, we want to make sure that we are eating and giving ourselves that time for it to not just break down the food, but to extract and distribute the food, which is action in itself, which takes time. And then you have the removal process where you want to make sure that you are removing the waste before you put more product inside of you. And that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching us. So when we're looking, listen, on page 83 of book number 1. Book 2, page 83. Book 2. He says, by eating this poisoned food 3 times a day, you cut off 2/3 of your life. Always prepare yourself a good meal once a day, and do not eat any more until the next day at the same time, if you can. You will find a change in the way you feel, and you will find that you can say to the doctor, I do not need your poison drugs. Oh, listen. Look, he says, but we cannot blame doctors for commercializing on us after they have studied for their profession, for it makes them anxious to benefit from their profession. The proper way to live is the way that nature and the guidance of Allah teaches us to. I want to repeat that one more time, fam. Listen, he says, by eating this poison food 2-3 times a day, you cut off 2/3 of your life. Wow. Always prepare yourself a good meal once a day. So if we're going to prepare a good meal, we have to do it from a nutritional perspective, and we have to understand what the body needs in macro and micronutrients, right? And he says, always prepare yourself a good meal once a day, and do not eat any more until the next day at the same time if you can. Give your body chance to process, digest, and distribute and use these elements before you eat something else, so you can know what the body needs when you eat again. See, if you eat before you get the signal on what your body needs, you could be putting the wrong thing at the wrong time and giving your body something that it does not want or need. And then we have to ask ourselves, if I put something in my body that my body does not want or need, what happens to my body? It cannot be something good. So we have a collection, and then we start to see we are gaining weight, right? We are having these ailments and these imbalances that is making it harder for us to recover from. And we will be chasing these foods and these foods until we die. So he says to us, if we eat one meal a day, he says, you will find a change in the way you feel, and you will find that you can say to the doctor, I do not need your poison drugs. Oh, man. Right? And I want to leave with one more. And this is page 43. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, like I said, these books, they transcend spiritual, they transcend religious. These are science books. They are actually teaching you and I how to live, how to extend our life, how to improve our health, how to gain that power that we need to do all the wonderful things that we come up with, right? So on page 43 of book number 1, The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, our big problems is eating too much and too often. He says, I repeat, the main thing in how to eat to live is to eat only once a day or once every other day. This will take care of everything. You cannot go all over the earth trying to eat everything that people say is good to eat, but give what you do eat time to get out of the way for the next meal and the effect that it probably would cause. Brothers and sisters, let your stomachs rest. Stop trying to eat 3 meals a day and all in between. That is enough to kill chickens and hogs. Man, what a wonderful, wonderful God to give us these blessings. Look, page 102, this is what I want to close out with. And I thank each and every one of you who shared your time and tuned in. And I just wanted to come from this perspective because I am a certified nutritional specialist here in Maryland. And it can become hard sometimes to teach people the proper way to eat because we have been trained under culinary eating. Our taste buds, savory, sweet, salt, or bitter. We've been trained to lead our diets with that. And trying to get people to change into this, they think this is not fun. They think this is not easy. But yes, this is fun and easy because it is empowering. This is how you get healthy and strong and grow young, man. This is how you eat to live. So look, he says, we cannot be successful in making the progress of a spiritual life unless we have the guidance for the physical life. This guidance comes to us through laws, rules, and regulations of the physical life. This is some of the laws, rules, and regulations of our physical life. This is nutritional science. These are our macronutrients. These are our micronutrients. This is where our energy comes from. This is where our maintenance comes from. You can confuse it if you want. You can think that these will give you what these give you. You can confuse these and put them in whatever order you want. But in order to get that progression of life, that advancement of life, both spiritually and physically, we must obey the laws under which we were created. We must eat to live. Right? So he says, listen, we must make this teaching of eating once a day binding upon us as a law in order to get any good from it as Allah desires. The purpose of these dietary laws in the time that we should partake of food is to lengthen our lives by ridding us of the greedy desire to eat 3 times a day in between meals if we are offered food. The main purpose of these teachings, how to eat to live, is to prolong our lives. How can we be mad at the most honorable Elijah Muhammad when he's given us these intentions? He's showing us his motives to offer us life. Now, if we don't want that life, that's something different. But how can we not see the significance, the importance of this man and these teachings when we are being offered life? Not just to overcome a disease or sickness, but to overcome premature death. Man, man, that's powerful. So listen, I told you I'm excited, I'm enthusiastic, so please forgive me in my excitement. But this is life. These are the real life insurance policies because you're not paying on your death. You're not putting down on your death. You are putting in on your life. When you buy these, you are buying abundant life. Man, you can get your copies. www.finalcall.com. www.noi.com. Thank you all for tuning in, family. Um, Sister Angela, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Listen, I just wanted to come and share this science, this life-giving science, the life-giving, life-saving science of how to eat to live by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Thank you all for tuning in, family. Go and conquer your day, seize your day, create your heaven, and set yourself in it. And I leave you as I came in the greeting words of peace. Salam alaikum. Peace.